It's your boy, Ed the Dread, and you are tuned in to the Ed the Dread podcast. Yes, sir. Bah, 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 bah. Happy Money Mouth Monday, and also happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Yeah. Fuck that man, Christopher Columbus, you know what I'm saying? I had a funny experience today when I went to go deposit some money into the bank, and it was closed. And they had a sign that said, open tomorrow 9 a.m., closed for Columbus Day. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I had to think about it, and I was standing there with my homie Hop, and he's like, yeah, it's Indigenous Peoples Day. And I was like, you right. Fuck that Columbus cat. So the topic of today's discussion will be how I found out what Columbus actually did, because they didn't teach me that in the public education system, and also what you should actually learn in school, because everybody would always be like, well, when am I going to use this? When am I going to use this? The things you learn in class might not be what you should be getting from school, So, with no further ado, I was raised in the frickin' standard American DOE, where they got you singing Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492 and Nina Pinta and Santa Maria, and it's a nice song, and you're talking about pilgrims and you're doing all this shit, and it's all kind of ridiculous looking back on it, but they program you into being a great citizen in this country. Right now, I thought that I was pretty well educated as I went to college. What you don't know back then is that you're going to be learning for your entire existence. There's no way that you'll ever know everything. So at that point, with the ego I had and a little bit of knowledge I had, I thought I knew a whole lot, right? And when I was in Spanish in college, the whole world was open to me, whole different world. I was playing at Monmouth University, and as a player on the soccer team, I had a whole lot of, gear. So majority of the time that I went to class, I would just wear athletic gear. There was no point of dressing up to go to school. So I ended up in a Spanish class, and the professor, once he found out I was on the soccer team, he shared with us that he had played for Real Madrid's youth club. Now, he literally had it on him at the time. He pulled this thing out of his pocket, and it was like a leather passport looking book, but it was actually the Real Madrid youth player card book. And nobody else in the class really cared, but I was stoked as shit, so once he showed us that, our class became more of I'm about to teach you some stuff as opposed to just Spanish, kind of like how I ran my Spanish class, and gave actual information of the history of Central America and, things that have happened down there, because nobody knows where Chiquita bananas originated from, but we eat them all, right? I had no clue that Columbus did more than just show up here and act nice with the pilgrims, right? So this teacher ends up telling us, how horrible colonization was with the Spaniards and fucking the Portuguese and the English, but specifically Spain, because he knows the history of it. And he literally outright told us, due to Columbus's actions, there was at least 30 million people died. We were just like, what the fuck did you just say? This was 2002 or 2003, so complete mind blower. Again, I was born in a white suburb, so it was we could have taken Spanish after school for free in elementary school, but all the white dudes around me were like, man, fuck that, we don't speak Spanish, we live in America. And so I was like, yeah, fuck that, I don't speak Spanish, and I didn't take the after school Spanish, which I should have fucking done, but it's just the mindset that you have in America that, everything we do is right, the history that we have is kind of one-sided, and it's all good. America, right? So not until college did I learn what actually happened in the colonization and in the arrival of these boats with Christopher Columbus, right? Now, I was part of the education system. I spent longer time in high school here teaching than I did in high school learning, which is freaking crazy, right? But all the time, whether it was teaching math or teaching Spanish, and Spanish, I think one of the first questions I asked the students was, why are you taking this? Is it more than just a necessity for graduation? Because if you have some other reason, you're going to be more likely to actually want to learn it and practice it. And if you have someone to practice with, you're going to get much better, much quicker, right? But when it came to math, I mean, it was every day someone, oh, when am I ever going to use this? What do I need this for? And like math is more problem solving. But when it comes to algebra using variables and unknowns, I mean, if I ask you how quick you can meet me at the skate park after school, and you have to go home and get your skateboard and someone's got to drive you there, you're going to think about all these unknown variables and give me an estimated time. That's algebra, cousin, But other than that, each one of your classes is going to be teaching you some individual shit that you may or may not like, may or may not want to use, may or may not give a fuck to learn. It doesn't even matter, right? But I will say that 4 things that I was able to take from school that have helped me in my life, seeing as though I'm the most successful guy ever at this point, on the way. So when a student would ask me, well, when will I ever going to use any of this? What you should think about using from the class may not be the precise information that the teacher is giving you, but one of these 4 things. First and foremost, organization, right? You've got 7 classes. You need to keep all this stuff separated and organized and able to turn these things in, remember these dates, remember these assignments, and so on and so forth. As a teacher for 5 years, I will definitely say that the students that had a binder with some paper in it, maybe a few dividers, or at a minimum just a folder to put something in, did better than the people who just threw a bunch of stuff into the bottom of their backpack and couldn't find anything. It was almost common that I would be in the tray like, yeah, your worksheet's not here. They'd be like, yeah, but I turned it in. I'm like, well, look at my thing. I'm pretty organized over there, and your thing's not there. Check your bag. It's not in the bag, and then it'd be in the bottom of the bag, right? But organization is, first and foremost, right? From a child in elementary school, they're putting you in line. They're putting your stuff in your cubby. They're making sure that you have all your stuff organized, which is a skill that you want to have because listen, bro, if you want to look like a hoarder when you grow up and have a house, by all means do so. But your neighbors aren't going to like you. There's probably going to be chickens living in the fucking place, and there's going to be stray cats everywhere if you out here on Maui. Now, number 2 thing that you should take from school, time management, right? Once you hit middle school, high school, again, you've got multiple classes. Elementary school, you might trade rooms like 2-3 times a day. When it comes to high school, middle school, you've got 6-7 different classes you got to go to. If your scheduling is such during the day, maybe it's a block where you've got 3 or 4 different classes you have to go to a day. But regardless, you've got to figure out, 1, having all the stuff ready for those classes, and 2, being able to get to the dang class. But also, when it comes to practicing things to get better at, which is like homework, having the ability to accomplish that task of homework and then just turn it in, right? All part of time management. Task completion, okay? Again, homework is a thing that's going to be given to you, right? Those are tasks. That's like an everyday thing, okay? And I know people hate homework, but the reality of learning things is you have to practice them. So if you're given something in the classroom and you're only giving it for like 30 minutes, you might as well try it a little bit on your own so that you can like keep that with you, right? But ultimately, the task of the homework needs to be completed, and or the task of the project, the task of the assignment, the task of the note-taking, the task of watching this video, the task of completing this thing, whatever it is. Okay, if you only leave your tasks half done, what will you ever accomplish? Damn near nothing. And lastly, but not least, information retention, right? Again, the point of homework, so that you're doing something repetitively and you actually retain that information, right? And again, you might not like that information that you're getting in school, but let's say you watch a YouTube video and you learn something from it. but then you never practice that thing, or you never talk about it, or you never wrote it down, or you never, how long will that actually be in your mind? You'll probably forget about it the next day, right? Uh, so information retention is very important. I mean, the majority of the things that I do at this point in my life, I did not go to school for, right? I went to school for marketing, which I'm starting to use with all of this digital creative media and music that I produce, right? But the production of that stuff, I didn't know how to do. I just watched YouTube videos, wrote down notes in a notebook, did it a whole bunch of times until I didn't have to look at the notes anymore, and now I just do it, right? Music production, music theory, mixing, mastering, copyright, all this stuff. I've looked it up on the internet and or purchased like a masterclass or some sort of PDF book document thing to read, and literally just sat there with the stupid marble notebooks that you have at school and just wrote the notes down. Went over the notes a bunch of times, did the thing right there a whole bunch of times, boom, 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 until I can't forget it, right? So information retention is one of these things that it's important to learn in school, because later on, when you want to do your own thing, you definitely don't want to forget, right? If you want to run your own business, you can't be forgetting what you did yesterday. If you want to be successful, you got to be able to retain some information. So when will I use this ever? These are the things that you should really be trying to learn in school: time management, organization, task completion, and information retention. Okay? If you grasp those four concepts, I mean, you can achieve anything you want just putting your mind to it and working your ass off. But if you know those four concepts and you got those things down, sky's the limit, baby. So, bing, bang, boom. That was your Ed the Dread podcast. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Again, what you should really be looking to learn from school, what you should take away from school, and how I figured out that Columbus didn't just sail the ocean blue in 1492. All right, click like, click subscribe, share if you care. It's your boy Ed the Dread. Holla, 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 holla. Let me holla at ya. A hooey ho, Kako.